Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited to be here with my friend Regan Hillyer, the queen of manifestation, here in her beautiful compound, this sanctuary, the Nest, in the Costa Rican jungle, where the jungle meets the Pacific. And I'm so honored to be here. We deeply connected a month ago in Sevilla, Spain, for Vishen's birthday, and we knew instantly that we were soul connected, soul friends. And we manifested being here together. I'm not surprised during this beautiful time to have this amazing conversation on manifesting regeneration. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I'm excited for the conversation. Thanks for being here.
You're the best. You're the best. So tell me about the Nest. Talk about manifestation, what you've created here. I mean, just what I've experienced in the last 12 hours is really rejuvenating. It's really beautiful. I mean, we're surrounded by this Costa Rican jungle and the sounds of the birds and the wind through the trees, and you have these beautiful structures. So tell me the genesis of the Nest.
Yeah, well, it's a big baby and it's growing up layer by layer. So there's many layers to it. We're on about 700 acres of land here. That was originally with the Baruka tribe and also the Bribri as well. And down by the riverbanks, we have the big Savegre River moving through, and there are almost like these beaches in the front. And this is where the tribes would come and gather. And so I feel when I first stepped on this land, I didn't have this big vision. I didn't find this piece of land thinking, okay, let me anchor in a community and a biohacking space and all these places. I was like, oh, I could build a house and live a simple life. And I stood up the top of the land where is one of the most beautiful views, looking out over the mountain and the jungle and the ocean and the sunset. And I was like, oh, maybe the house will go here. And then I hear this message from the land and it's like, no. And it's super clear. The land says to me, this is for the people. And I'm like, what people? Like, what do you mean? So I'm walking along the ridge and then I stand on one of the other points and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'll live here. And then it's like, no, this is also for the people. And I'm like, what? So I keep walking and walking and walking, and I'm in the jungle somewhere until I start feeling like, oh yeah, like the house could maybe go here. And then I check the map on the topography and I'm completely off the piece of land, right? So it's been layers and layers and layers over time. It didn't start out with the 700 acres. It was one piece, then another, then another, then another. And it's really a home which people can come into the nest and charge up and recalibrate and then fly out of the nest with their wings even more shiny, activating their unique gifts and talents and their also just their love and their connection and their essence, but from this deep place of like rest and rejuvenation and nature and living in harmony and with people that are walking that same way. That's really the core of it.
It's beautiful. And you were saying that you have right now the capacity to host 18 people. You've got 3 different spa amenity structures that have different modalities and different technologies, and your vision is that you're going to be building also another large wellness center, right, as well. Yeah. And so how many people ultimately do you think that this project will accommodate? How many people will be living here? How many people will be able to come? What's the larger vision beyond what was originally going to be your house in nature?
It keeps getting more and more out of hand every day. So the first residential zone has space for 33 families, 33 homes. Yeah. Great. And there's about 20 homes now that are locked in with residents, and we were saying earlier, a big range from people that are younger through to really multi-generational families, kids, puppies, cats, like everything, right? And for the retreat center side of things right now, I can sleep 18 people on the land. And I think from the retreat side of things, it will always be around those numbers. It's always going to be, smaller groups and deeper, more intimate work. And the land has space if I did want to open up over time another neighborhood or 2 in some of the other areas. It could be 100 homes, but I'm not committing to that right now. I'm not going to promise anything. I'm going to get the first residential zone locked in, get everyone moved in, and see how it feels, right? And really feel the spaces and the community areas. And I'm doing a school here for the children, get the kids activated, and all these pieces plugged in, and then see how it feels. And maybe that feels complete, and then maybe there's another phase that we open up, we see.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful vision. It's a big vision. It's a lot to hold. Yeah. I know, being a community builder myself and running a retreat center for the last 11 years, it's definitely we're not doing it for the money. We're doing it for the passion and also for our own fulfillment, and building community is something that is a full-time job,
Yeah.
and it's not something that you can do part-time. So I commend you for doing that, because I know how difficult it is. And I think that you've picked the perfect spot to do it, and I can feel the resonance of the land, and I can feel how you're honoring nature, and everything is very lush, and it's less, you're just an accent to what's already magical and organic and beautiful, and you're going to build a restaurant, and you have other amazing projects in the area, like Holos you were talking about, and Ian Michael, who's been very supportive. And so it's really nice to see conscious community coming together finally, not competing, but collaborating. And we can all help and elevate each other, because this work is not easy work. It's a lot to hold. And, people are stressed out. We're in a very intense moment in the world with all the latest, world news and wars and violence and everything that's happening. And this is the antidote to all of that stress on our nervous system and our psyche and in our bodies. I think everybody's just stressed out, and I think what you're creating is an alternative way to reset the nervous system and regenerate. And,
exactly.
And so you're manifesting your own regeneration, because it starts from you, and so it's really beautiful to see you actually, making this happen, because it's not easy. It doesn't just happen by snapping your finger.
No, it really doesn't. And that's also why the retreat center side of things was important. To be honest, I never had like a vision of I want to have a retreat center. But as I started locking in the residential pieces and the community, I saw also the importance of not just people living here, but people coming, even if it's just for a week. Because then if they can plug into this and feel the vibration of the land and utilize the technologies and meet people, that changes their own inner blueprint. They go home and they live differently. I've had clients come in and spend a week or two here in deep work and then completely restructure how they're living in Ireland and Dubai and different places, And so for me, it's also part of the ripple of not just like who's here full time or part time in their house, but how do we take this ripple as a blueprint into different countries and through different people,
Exactly. So without even knowing it, you're a regenerative placemaker yourself. And, and it's awesome to see you doing this work, because that's the idea, is how does, the regeneration that starts with the self and then opening up the container to bring other people to regenerate cause a ripple effect, around the world. And you're doing that by having transformative experiences, connecting people with nature, connecting people to their own nature that they've forgotten, because we're so disconnected. We have the largest epidemic of loneliness ever in a world that's more connected theoretically than ever, through social media, through technology, and people are depressed, the highest levels of suicide that we've ever seen per capita. And it's because we've designed for loneliness. We've created cities, neighborhoods, and communities that are lonely. And that's one of the whole purposes of me launching Future of Cities and, Generation, Regeneration, the book, which, is coming out in August.
Yay.
So I'm very excited to see, 4 years in the making, this. And, it was delayed because my beloved Jimena, my Queen of Hearts, passed away 8 months ago. Yeah, so the book is dedicated to her simply. And there's a photo of me and her in the back at this event in Miami, which was for the Reef Line, which is an artificial reef in Miami. And they had this sculpture of the heart of the blue whale, which is one of the largest hearts in the world.
Wow.
So it's dedicated to her. And the idea is that, through regenerative placemaking, which is what you're doing, and what many people are starting to do without kind of a framework that's formal, is having this ripple effect where we can show people that we can go beyond sustainability, because sustainability has largely failed. It's a politicized term. It's status quo. It's not giving back more than we take. It's not this regenerative, self-healing modality, which is what regeneration is. And I think that's what you do a lot in your work with manifestation, is you're teaching people how to drink while they pour, how to fulfill, how to fill themselves up from what they're doing, so they don't become drained and burned out. Because
exactly.
Many of us go through that. So I'd love to know from your perspective in your work, how would you apply regenerative placemaking principles of manifesting regeneration in your own life? How did you do it, and how can others do that in their lives?
For sure. Well, it's interesting even to look at the word sustainability, right? Because sustain is
Right.
there. And then what are we sustaining, right? And for some people, you know, it comes to their personal work, we don't want to sustain what they're actually doing, right? We want to shift it and change it and create this wave of change. And to do that, we've got to get back to our essence. We've got to get back to our true, authentic nature. We've got to remember who we are in this process, not become something we're not, but actually return to our original blueprint and our original soul's blueprint and this original cycle. And so I see no separation between an individual doing that and a community doing that and a retreat center doing that. Right. And I think this is a big part of why sustainability's failed, because again, like, okay, we don't want to sustain. We don't want to do that. We want
It's a broken system. Why would we
want to sustain it? Don't do that.
Totally.
We want to go back to the answers that are in nature and these cycles and systems that actually work, that are so simple sometimes in nature, but we have so much noise and distortion that separated us from this, right? And so the core in my personal work when it comes to manifestation, so many different tools and techniques and this and that. The core of it really is helping people remember who they are and getting back to their natural state and realizing that they are manifesting already, whether they're aware of it or not. And the more that they get into an integral space of being authentic with who they are, the more they're functioning from a place of their higher self. And then they're making better choices, better decisions. They're walking, talking, thinking, acting differently. They're eating differently. They're communicating in their relationships differently. They have a different spiritual connection, not because they've elevated into being someone else, but they're actually returning back to their purest essence. And I think there's a lot to be said around that personal journey, and then also communities and even cities, right? Going even broader and beyond around returning back to this essence with all the tools and technology and everything amazing that we have today. Can we integrate that, but also not getting lost in that? Because even I see it a lot in the biohacking communities. It's like, this tool, this machine, and people are now reliant on the tool and the machine. And they're forgetting their natural cycles, their natural rhythm, and that actually we've got to come in sync with our natural nature. And these tools can accelerate us. But if there's the most amazing piece of quantum technology down there, amazing. It's helping us remember that we have the capacity to access this greater information.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, that's such a good point. I think people are so disconnected that they forget who they are and that we are nature and that we're not apart from it, but we're connected to it and we are a part of nature. And I think we've paved over paradise, paved over our own consciousness, with all the blockers. And you talk about biohacking, and we all love the world of modern medicine and regenerative medicine, and there's so much promise to it. But all of the best biohacks are natural biohacks, spending time in nature,
right,
meditating, connecting with community. I think the Surgeon General in the US released a study that loneliness equates to smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Wow,
That's how detrimental it is to your health.
Yeah.
And how lonely are people? People use ChatGPT as their shrink now because they trust, technology more than a human for physical connection. And so there's a whole generation of people that communicate more with technology than they do with each other.
Right.
And you and I both use technology as a tool for communication, which is important. And like you said, it has to be technology appropriate. It has to not rule your life. You have to know who you are and go back to that remembering, because the body is the smartest machine, the smartest technology that is out there, and we can heal ourselves.
Absolutely.
We've all seen it. We've all witnessed it. We've all seen these miracles of when you're in right resonance with yourself and you're eating the right food. Food is medicine, right? Community is medicine. Nature is medicine. All these things really align. I think we really learn again. And I think it's very important what you're saying, the remembering. And I think that's where placemaking is really, and understanding the story of place is really important, because many of us are just traveling through a place and we're not connecting deeply with the place, and we're not connecting deeply with ourselves. So placemaking is also about place sourcing and understand, what is the history of this place? You were just talking about tremors and things that are happening, like being aware, like, is there volcanic activity in the area? How does the water move? Like the permaculture principles of observation. So many people have their own ideas that are kind of like neo-colonialist. I'm going to go to a place and I'm going to bring my concepts without understanding what does the land want?
Exactly.
What is it telling you? And what is the history and the people? And are you going to be in right relationship with those people? Otherwise, the jungle is going to eat you up.
Totally. Totally. No, and I've seen it here. One move out of alignment on this land that's not from listening, it gets cleaned up right away here. Right away. And I've learned that lesson, and I've learned, like, I don't step until I've literally connected with this land and checked in and received, okay, is this right? Is this the time? Asking permission. It's just, you can't. And you're right. There's so many people that are like, well, here's my blueprint. Let me shove it on the land. And again, it just doesn't work.
Spits it out. No, it chews it up and spits it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think one of the core principles of regenerative placemaking is deep listening. And I think it could sound woo to people. So I just want, like, when you're talking to corporations and business people, it's about tapping into what is the right frequency and intuition of the place. It's not just, oh, I'm going to meditate and I'm going to put my finger in the air and it's going to, the forest is going to whisper in my ear. It's like, no, what is appropriate, for the natural environment to be in balance with the built environment, right? We're adding structures that are not natural. It's a human construct,
right?
But it needs to exist in harmony. So that's water flow. I mean, I'll give you an example. Like, you look at a place like Malibu or the Pacific Palisades.
Tulum.
I know people or Tulum. People have had their homes burned down 5 times, and they keep on rebuilding it. And I'm like, maybe nature is saying that this is an off zone for building. I mean, maybe we should consider that. You know, maybe this should be a park. Maybe there should look at these hot zones of where things just, it's the most valuable real estate, et cetera. But nature is trying to stay something. So it's about listening a little bit more to the land and what nature is doing. And things are evolving, right? The climate is, whether you believe in climate change or not, like, we had a really cold freeze in Florida this year. So things are just getting more extreme. You know what I mean? It's you can call it global warming, you can call it climate events. There's just a lot more activity in the atmosphere. I think we can all agree on. And it's human caused, because we're the ones emitting all of these activities. And I believe that technology will help solve these issues if there's a will and a desire to have things that we can all agree on. Clean air, clean water, clean soil. This is not a conservative or liberal topic. This is just a health and well-being topic,
Basics.
Right? So I think those are the things when I look at a city or a neighborhood or a place, like, how healthy are the rivers? How healthy is the forest? How healthy is the soil? Because that's where you're going to get your food from. Many people don't consider those factors. They're just like, oh, I have my dream, and I'm going to impose it on this place because it's beautiful, and it doesn't go the way that they want it to go. And I think that's where really deeply listening to the place, connecting with the people, learning what the needs are of the community, because people are talking about building all these bunkers and, like, hiding out from civilization, but no gated community is going to help you if the people around you are going hungry.
Totally.
It's like,
so
build bridges and not walls is kind of my concept.
No, and even with manifestation, like, one of the biggest traps with manifestation is thinking that you're separate from the field, separate from God, separate from the land. Like, we are all interconnected. And again, with this listening piece, it could be considered, woo-woo, oh, now I'm going to have to pray and meditate. But really, if you unpack it, it's also science. You said the word harmony. Everything's got to be in coherence, right? And so in order to manifest what you desire personally, your entire system must be in vibrational resonance with that thing. Otherwise, it won't show up, or it will be very hard work to make it show up, right? Meaning our physical body, our emotional, our energetic, our mental has all got to be in an alignment. And if it's not, it's like an orchestra trying to play a piece of music, but everyone's starting at a different time, and everyone's like, it sounds bad, turn it off, right? Whereas when everything comes into coherence, it's like, oh, wow, it's a beautiful piece of music. And the same thing happens, like, that's us personally, but we've got to then be in coherence with where we're living. We've got to be in coherence with the land. So we need to listen. Is this in resonance with the land? Am I just plonking my blueprint here and going, well, I know best, right? And then it's not actually clicked. It's not in sync. These pieces up, maybe there's pieces that the land needs to bring the soil back to a healthy place before you start just planting everything that you want to grow.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. And so, if the listening thing for anyone listening feels like woo-woo and I don't understand that, like, it's science-based, it's coherence, it's vibration, everything is made up of frequency and everything is connected to the quantum field. And the only way as a planet we're going to come back into higher alignment is if we start actually bringing everything, every piece into coherence.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of that is the people that are stewarding communities going, okay, I got this section down. All right, you handle that one. Like we just talked about Hollis. Amazing, you're in the Diamante Valley. Like anchor that over there. I got you over here, right? And working together to then bring everything as much as possible into coherence.
Right.
Rather than people in boxes and cities going, let me just work on my own personal coherence to make more money to create something that I want, when they're completely out of sync with everything else that is going on around them.
Right. And that's where we in our part of what I talk about in our book, you have community, culture, and nature as kind of the three main pillars or tracks of regenerative placemaking. But we also talk about the three co's: co-creation, co-evolution, and co-design.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you're in resonance, but then you're also in resonance with the land and the culture and the people, well, then that's where the magic happens. That's because then there's coherence, like you're talking about. It's through co-creation, through co-design and co-evolution, because sustainability is static in a way, right?
Yeah.
You have sustainability, goes to resilience, and then it goes to regeneration. Those are kind of like the steps of really and we can't just follow sustainability anymore. We've gone way past that point. We've extracted too much. It doesn't work. And the systems that we've created are not to be sustained.
No.
They're to be, like Buckminster Fuller said, don't fight the existing system.
Right.
Create a new one that makes the old one obsolete.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like, don't fight anything, because it's like, that's resistance. That's the wrong frequency. Get in coherence, like you talked about. Co-design, co-create with the land. And I think that's what you're doing here, and it's a great demonstration of that. And I'm excited to see it evolve.
Yeah, thank you. I'm doing my best. It's a journey, trust me. And it's really, I think the nest, this land, this project, it's been one of my biggest teachers, really. My biggest teachers. So much magic and so many gifts, and also so many challenges and so many lessons, and so much that I've needed to learn in order to figure it out and get it to here. And then I know that will continue to get it to the next phase. And it's interesting, the piece you talked about loneliness, because I feel as a steward of this community, and I think many other stewards of communities might feel the same, it can be a lot. Like it's a lot on your shoulders. There's just a lot. No matter how good the team, the systems, the structure, at the end of the day, everything does like pin back to you. And it's easy to get bogged down in those details and the responsibility and some of the pressures or the challenges or everything. And, I was having a moment, and it was about 2 weeks ago, and I was just feeling it. I was like, okay, left, right, this, that, like amazing, and like a lot, right? And I came actually up into this room, and we had some clients here, and then we also had some of the residents who all happened to be popping in at the same time. And then a couple of the residents got up, and they were playing some music, and there was a guitar, and there was a puppy lying upside down on the floor, and then babies running everywhere. And I just sat back for a moment, and I looked at everyone connecting and laughing. And some people had tears in their eyes from the music. And I just had this moment where I was literally like, okay, this is why I'm doing this. The antidote to the loneliness, right? And I was like, this just makes everything worth it. No matter how challenging, hard, you said at the beginning, that this is not a business. We're not doing this to try and make some money. It's like, okay. And it reminded me, and something in my nervous system was like, oh yeah, okay, I remember. And like, I needed that moment. I needed that little hour where everything just kind of got together, and it like plugged me into, over time, when there's the families actually here with their homes and their friends coming and going and this and that and more events and immersions. And I was like, oh yeah, this is right. It's the interconnectedness through the people. Yeah. And yes, everything's in sync then with the buildings, the land, the this, the that, all of it. Amazing, beautiful, every detail. But like, this is the core of it. This is the heartbeat.
Yeah, no, community building and living in community is not glamorous. Like people just think everything is going to be simple. Yeah. Humans are complex. Yeah. We're complex species. Yeah. I grew up in a commune, sleeping on the temple floor. I had to wait online to take a Navy shower every day. And it was beautiful, and I wouldn't replace it for anything, a magical aspect of it. And I think like that is an older paradigm in the modern world that I think, having also a separation and private space is necessary for your own replenishing and regeneration. But having that community is really amazing. And my late wife Jimena, who was one of my greatest teachers, who's this beautiful, beautiful, angelic, saint on earth.
Yeah.
And she would always just want me to simplify my life. Why are you putting all this pressure on yourself? Why are you so ambitious? Lighten the load and do things that would overextend yourself. And in 2018, she beat cancer, the first round that she had, because she had 2 bouts of breast cancer. And I said, and we both turned 40. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. I said, we're going to throw the most incredible gathering with all of our amazing friends. Elijah Ray was there. Gone Gone Beyond was there. Isaiah Mark, all of our friends. And we gifted 250, 300 people a 4-day mini festival in celebration of our love. And it was this epic gathering that transformed people's lives forever. People, this is 2018. So this is 8 years ago.
Yeah.
People are still talking about it as like one of the most transformational gatherings of pure love and devotion. And it cost me a fortune, but what's money at the end of the day? Like that memory, that experience, those connections of pure gifting, I wouldn't replace for the world. And when it's getting heavy and hard and you can't make the numbers work and everything's falling apart. And this happened to me last year, almost a year ago. Last March and April, we were raided by the health department. We were shut down. There were people that we knew that we grew up with that are trying to, harm us while Jimena is going through the last phases of cancer in her life. And then financially, everything is just collapsing. And I just, the universe was saying to me, slow down. Just accept what's going on. Be present for your wife, and everything is going to work out. And there was just the biggest lesson, because there was literally nothing I could do.
No.
It was absolutely, I was like on the floor being kicked, and I was just like, okay, I just can do the best that I can, be the best person I can. I need to take care of myself. And it's amazing how the letting go and the acceptance and just having a sense of gratitude for all the many blessings kind of erased all the stress of it. And I said to myself, like, if Jesus Christ himself, could be betrayed by his closest disciples, who am I to think that I'm above human imperfection? And you have to learn to forgive, and feel bad for people who are coming from that place, who want to do harm because of their own insecurity. Like, have compassion for them, because that would be a terrible place to be in, right? And so fortunately, I'm blessed with an abundance of love and an abundance of community and an abundance of unlimited opportunity. And, there's seasons in our life, and you have to, last year, I truly believe that, the year of the snake was about shedding everything, every system, every limiting belief, every concept, any attachment, so that we could really build a new solid foundation for this year of the fire horse. And I felt that it's like, whoa, what an energetic shift since last year. Of growth and expansion and stability and new opportunities. And, I'm like, I'm so grateful. And I'm so grateful I went through those dark nights of the soul, because without that, how can you have a perspective? And how can you learn the hard lessons?
No. And so amazing that you created an environment where you also had community around you that time. I feel that
it was everything.
I feel some people don't even consider that could be an option, with how they're living and how they've been brought up, and then the life they just kind of fall into. And they don't even know maybe that there's like, wow, there's people living in community and raising children together, and wow, right? And I feel it's funny. I feel I had to even learn that community was a thing. I grew up in New Zealand, but some people don't know this about me. I grew up sailing on a yacht until I was like 5. So my community was my little brother and my parents. That's it. And like the odd human we would see here and there. Like I was not even on land mostly. Like the ocean was my home and my teacher. And in that, like, there's no other option at the end after you've played all the card games and sung all the songs than to just be in meditation basically as a child, and in stillness and just in your own energy. And so, naturally, as an adult, I would say I'm an introvert, and you've seen me in social scenarios. I'm not extroverted. I tend to find like one deep, nice connection, and I'm like, okay, cool, I can stay here all night. This is really comfy, right? And I track it back, and I think so much of that is also because of my childhood and my conditioning, and I wasn't used to being around community and people. And so I've kind of trained myself to even be like, oh, wow, like there's magic in community. Like when I started even speaking at events, I felt terrified to be around people, right? And I would have a lot of social anxiety. And for me, it was like hard work to have to go and like talk to people and connect because I didn't have a muscle for it, let alone thinking that, wow, that could be a way to live,
Exactly.
let alone build one yourself, right?
And then become a community builder.
This is what I mean. It's such a wild journey. But I think it's cool for people to look at like, where are they on that spectrum and that scale? And to know there's communities out there that they can get a taste of, that like a hummingbird, right? They can come and just dive in and like, oh, let me just like test this out for a week, go to an immersion, go to a retreat, feel this community, feel this land. Like there's so much happening on the planet. And I'm sure if people are plugging into you and all the people that you're connected with through all the community, there's so much good going on in this time of chaos and madness and destruction that we're in the planet. There's the polarity of so much being anchored and built and recalibrated and regenerated. And I feel if people even start going, oh, okay, well, how does that fit into my life and how could I start experiencing that? Again, that blueprint starts to change within them, and then they hold a different frequency, then they interact with people differently, and we start having a bigger global impact through it.
Yeah, I do believe that in the midst of all this chaos, what the Hindus believe is the Kali Yuga, we're going into the age of Aquarius. There's gonna be death and destruction because it's an old system that is falling apart, and we're seeing it unfold before our eyes with this new world order and this new violence, and we can't believe that we haven't gone anywhere, but it is part of us, a reckoning of a new consciousness, of a new human being born. And there's always two sides of the coin. There's always this polarity that's happening, because while all this destruction and bad stuff is happening, there's so much beauty also being created that you and I get to witness. And like you said, there's every kind of social construct that can exist in relationships between and among people. Like I haven't been in the dating scene or out in the world for 17 years. And me and Jimena were pre-dating apps and all of this stuff. So it's like, even just understanding how people come together is a whole new reality that I'm seeing. So what I'm learning is just like every opportunity exists for social connection, for community. There's no set path. And like, I think that's a very important, part of my framework, or the framework that I'm co-designing with everybody around regenerative placemaking, is that you can't prescribe culture or authenticity. That needs to come from the individual, from the place and the community. It needs to be co-created. And so for people who are looking for community, they need to seek out their people and co-design that, because like you're creating the nest here, there's Holos, there's Chosen, there's all these different, and these communities overlap, the Burning Man communities, all these different, and it's not my community is better than yours, or that's like going back to like the private members club or the golf, like all of this is open. What we need to do is start building bridges between us, supporting one another, because they're all beautiful and they're all different, and everyone should have its own unique flavor. And that's the magic and beauty of diversity. Just like plants work in guilds together, they support each other. The bigger trees provide the canopy and the leaves that create the nutrients. The same thing should happen. All this, it's an ecosystem, and you're part of an ecosystem, I'm part of an ecosystem, there's overlap. How do we cross-pollinate? How do we make their bigger than just what we have, right? And it's like this concept in regenerative development of nested holes, which is really great for you because you're the nest, right? And it's like you're part of this whole, which is your world and then your community, but you're within a larger nested hole of Costa Rica and the jungle and the Pacific Ocean and the macaws and the whales and all the animal species that you have here living in harmony. And it's beautiful to be aware and understand and create, and you can co-create that story, that new story of place. Right? Because you're creating and co-designing with your community this new story of place, which is the nest where you are, and it has this ripple effect of all these people who are plugging in, transforming, and how does that transform their life? So I think really the idea is like you're just being newly introduced to community, and you had this kind of monastic upbringing on a boat, which is not unlike these indigenous tribes of the Kogi that put their spiritual kids in a cave for 15 years, right? Because you're really getting in tune. And I think that helped inform who you are and gave you that connection to God and spirituality. but then you also see the power of community and how magical it is, because with authentic, and I think the key word is authentic community, because many people try to buy community, it's based on money, or it's based on some other connection. If it's authentic and it's real, like what I saw that happened with me with Jimena when she passed away, community showed up in ways that I've never known possible.
I think they're still showing up.
They're still showing, they're definitely showing up. And it's just the beginning, but it's like, it blew me away, because it was like, how could something so difficult and so painful be so beautiful at the same time? And that's why the next book I'm focusing on is going to be called Soft Power. And it's the rise of the divine feminine, but it's also, how does community show up during these times of trauma, which could turn you into becoming depressed and go down a very bad rabbit hole. But it can also have this response that is the massive amount of growth transformation in your life that can actually be positive, that can be a spiritual awakening, because you're tuning into it. You're not trying to cover up those emotions. You're feeling into them, you're working through them, and you're recognizing that everything is impermanent.
Yeah. It is.
Everything. We're all going to die. We're all going to lose everything.
It's actually the only thing that's guaranteed in this life.
It's the only thing that's guaranteed. And how do we walk gracefully towards our own death? Like, how do we walk in beauty, right? And I think that's the most, and how do we walk each other home? Like Ram Dass said, in a beautiful way. And I think I've had the fortune growing up on an ashram and being around a lot of death and dying. There's nothing more privileged and beautiful than to be by somebody's bedside when they're in their last moments of their life, because it's so potent and it's so real. There's no pretense. It's just, this is life and death.
Wow.
Yeah, and regenerative living and manifesting regeneration is also not fearing death. And I think my wife was an example of that. She gave a master class in dying, but she wasn't without a lot of tools. I mean, she did a lot of ceremony. She did the work on herself so that she could know, hey, she was sad to leave me and like the people that she loved, but she wasn't sad to go into this liberated post, physical realm, because she knew it was magical and beautiful.
No, and even when it comes to anchoring in these communities, I feel, for me, because I've thought about this a lot, it's got to be created in a way also where it's beyond you. Because in the scheme of things, like, we're here for a very short time, right? And we never know when that is also, right? And so often people ask me, like, Regan, like, why are you really doing this at the core of the core of the core of everything? And my answer has and always will be for the children. Always. Because it's like, it makes no sense to just create something for the people here now. And then what? It stops? It goes away? No, it's got to be multi-generational. It's got to go through those cycles of death and life and the generations. And then are you creating something that, again, is in coherence and harmony that the children can grow up into, and their children's children and their children, right? Is like, for me, if it's not that, it doesn't make sense, and I don't get it. It has to be that way.
And that's the oldest urban planning framework that's ever existed. It's called 7-generation planning.
Wow, okay.
Which is indigenous in nature. And basically it's looking at the past 3 generations at a minimum, the current generation and the future 3 generations, or even looking ahead to 7 generations and saying, is what I'm doing now, how is it being informed by the past? How is it going to have an impact on the present, but how is it going to really have a lasting impact on the next generations? And it's like, we have all this technology, right? Yeah. We have all this thinking, and we've just gone away. We've forgotten our essence. We've forgotten who we are. Right. And I think, I know that a lot of people are very, that indigenous culture is being exploited now, and it's become this trendy, popular thing. And indigenous people are just like other human beings. They have flaws, they make mistakes.
Exactly.
Particularly the men have taken advantage of their power in certain circumstances. So everybody needs to be held accountable. Yeah. But indigenous wisdom and practices and being stewards of the land, there's many things that we can learn from them.
100%.
I'm not saying that I want to live in the Amazon. And so I love cities and I love nature. I don't like where things are loud. There's noise pollution, there's air pollution, water pollution. We can solve those problems. Yeah. We have the tools, we have the technology if there's coherence.
Yeah, exactly. No, and it's fusing that. A big heartbeat of the nest too is fusing the the ancient wisdom with the quantum technology and the new ways of being and thinking. And that's actually, even the client work here has been designed around this. So if people come in, for example, for a week and they come and do a private immersion, it's a mix. Like they'll turn up and they'll go through their specific program that's been designed for the week, and we'll scan them on a piece of quantum tech, and they can see exactly what's going on: physical body, minerals, nutrients, emotional body, spiritual gifts, like everything, right? Every little detail. Then they'll go and do deep work, and that might be with sacred medicine or breath work or going into some of these modalities and practices. And then we'll measure their brainwaves afterwards, and then we'll rescan them and see what's different. Then they'll go do more work and come back, right? But using it in a way where it's fused together. And I feel that there's so much from this ancient wisdom where also people can miss some of the magic that's available in technology now when they're just here. And then there's people that disconnect from that fully, and then they get lost, like we said, just in the technology. And it's like, again, why don't we bridge this together?
Yeah, exactly.
And have this in a way where we're working with nature and these natural cycles, but also utilizing what's available to us. And even the homes that are going to be anchored here on the nest are built around that principle, right? It's like, how do we be in harmony with nature, with the natural cycles and sinks and materials, but then activate these materials and then utilize different technologies so that when you walk into your home and sleep, you're reducing your biological age and your HRV is naturally accelerating just from you being in the space, because it's built in coherence in a certain way with tech that's available to support and accelerate that, but not where you're living completely separate from the natural pieces. It's like, we've got to bring it together.
Yeah, it's this fusion, it's this integration, this holistic approach between, like you said, ancient wisdom, traditions, remembering the self, but leveraging all this incredible technology and advances in a way that it serves humanity and nature and not extracts from.
Exactly.
And I think that is the delicate balance of the world that we're living in, where automation, robots, AI, people are overwhelmed, and the world is going to change more rapidly than we even can imagine in a very short period of time. The workplace is going to be disrupted. I like to look on the optimist side because I think it's going to be a regeneration. I think there's going to be a new, for people who embrace the technology and can get back to the things that really bring joy to us, music, creativity, instead of becoming order takers, we become creators and we become the designers of our own destiny. And I think those tools are super exciting if you're not scared by them. And I think ultimately, governments and communities and societies have to figure out, how do we care for every living being on earth? And we know that we have unlimited abundance, right? This is abundance mentality. How do we allocate those resources in a way that supports 100% of life? Because there's no reason that 1 billion people on this earth should be hungry and unbanked and live in squalor conditions.
Right.
It's like, what other species allows that to happen?
It doesn't.
It's unintelligent.
Yeah, it really is.
It's stupid because we know that we have the resources, and the top 1% has enough resources of the other 60% of the world, and it just doesn't make sense. So, and I'm not an advocate of socialism or communism. It hasn't worked in the past, but I am an advocate of intelligent human design.
And new systems. Like
and new systems that will disrupt the old systems, that will make it obsolete. And I really think that I like to look at the optimistic side. And of course, there's the very scary dystopian realities that could happen if you get things in the wrong hands of people. But I want to keep on encouraging people to look at the positive, optimistic side of the opportunities that are being created in this massive shift of what's happening on Earth, and to embrace it and to not be scared. It's to go into, to really go into abundance consciousness over fear consciousness, and know that there is enough resources for everybody.
Totally, there is. And naturally, in order to anchor in those new cycles, the old must crumble and fall. And I feel we're in the crumble right now. We're literally, before this conversation, whoa, this is happening in this country, and here, and like, whoa, it's overwhelming. It's like, what is going on? But again, even in manifestation, we can't hold the new unless there's space for it. Like, you can't, you can't be calling in something new and hold it unless there's a container to actually hold it, because it's all frequency, it's all energetic. And it's the same in the systems too. Like, there's got to be the crumbling, and with that, there's chaos. And again, we need the chaos. Even if we look at quantum physics, we can't have things continuing in their form as they are. It actually, the particles go into a chaotic, random organization to then reconstruct into the new. And that's what happens with manifestation. And that's why things can feel like, oh my God, it's so overwhelming. I don't know if it's, okay, there it is, right? And we go through that chaos cycle within ourselves, and we see these pieces coming up. Whoa, the fear, the doubt, the this, the that, okay, right? And we anchor it, and we're seeing it in community, we're seeing it globally through the planet. And I think people can be scared of the chaos, because they're like, oh no, why is this happening? This is so bad, this is so wrong. Oh no, I want everything to stay how it was, but we don't. It's not working. And we've got to go through these chaos cycles, as painful as they are, in order to create the space to anchor in these new pieces.
It is a new world, and it's going to be a lot of change and rapid change, and a lot of people don't like change. And,
right.
So I think the ways that people can regenerate and embrace the pace of what's happening is through grounding and remembering themselves, like you're talking about, having a practice, even if it's, just quieting the mind. If you're not into meditation, there's so many apps, there's so many things that you can do that can help guide you. But even just being in nature, 20 minutes, an
100%.
hour a day, simple things like that, like taking a break from screens and just kind of focusing on your breath. Many of us forget to breathe.
I know.
So like those are like simple techniques that can ground you in a world that's just a lot. And then you've got to have, like I always say, I love the Jewish traditions of Shabbat, and where people are taking, a digital detox and really just theoretically not supposed to talk about business, and really just disconnect from technology and from business and really be present. And I think one of the greatest tools for happiness is being present, so that you can actually connect with humans and not technology, because that's what is the antidote to loneliness, right? So it's like, but if we're thinking about the future or dwelling on the past and we're not here in the present, we're robbing ourselves of the magic of the moment.
Exactly. I know.
And we do it so much
it's so easy to do.
It's so easy. We've created a world that is designed to distract us. That's it. And to sell us shit and to do all these things. So the work that you're doing is so important with Regeneration. And I'm so excited to be here in your magical place here in Costa Rica. And I'm excited for our journey together, which has just started. And Regan's going to be participating in our Regeneration Summit in July, along with so many other amazing people in this space, from regenerative agriculture to regenerative well-being. And it's the Regeneissance. It's time now for people to, regenerate their own souls, their spirit, and come together into coherence, because with that coherence, anything is possible. We can overcome any challenge. And I'm really sure and positive of that when I meet people like you in the world doing the things that you're doing, and just see the amount of impact in a positive way that we can have, and sharing vulnerably that, our journeys have not been easy. I've just been through one of the most difficult times in my life. And yet I look ahead at the next mountain, my next phase of my life, and I see nothing but magic and beauty. And I see that, the next mountain will be even more magical and more beautiful. And there's going to be peaks and valleys, and that's life. And when you're going through those difficult times, I would encourage you, as I encourage myself, is see the lesson in the difficult moments, because there's always a gift that's coming at the end of a challenge.
It's always happening for you.
It's always happening
always, even if it doesn't make sense.
So thank you.
Always. Thank you so much. So appreciate you and all the work you're doing as well, and just who you are as a human. I really see your soul and the integrity that you walk with, and I saw that in day one when we met. So I feel really honored to be connected to you and love you so much.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.